playing up. It's crazy bugged out lately. It's really doing my head
Oh,
in.
mate,
But
it's so brutal for such an established messaging app. It's incredible how it just shuts down randomly on me sometimes when I'm on my PC. So no sweat.
yeah, that's crazy. All right. Well, yeah, we've got the recording going. So everyone, welcome to the Compound Meta AMA here at PinkSale. My name's Shono, for those that might not know me, and today, yeah, we've got confidence from the team here. We've already almost got 100 participants within the first few minutes. So I guess, yeah, we don't need to wait. We can kick it off. So, yeah, if you'd like to maybe start, give us an introduction, tell us a little bit about yourselves, and then, yeah, we can kick it off and learn about Compound Meta.
For sure. Thank you so much for hosting this and allowing us to come in here and, give everybody a little bit of an idea of what Compound Meta is about. Me personally, my background, I work full-time in crypto. I have for the past couple of years now. Been a Binance user since 2016, so I've been in the space for a long time, but I decided to make the jump to full-time crypto about 2 years ago. So what I do mainly in terms of my cryptocurrency work is I write fundamental analysis reports on Ethereum-based protocols. I do that for a particular DAO, primarily focusing on governance and like admin keys, multi-sig wallets, just trying to educate myself first and foremost, and then those are public so people can read them to, if they're thinking about investing in any of the protocols that I write a report on, they can read it. There's a full DAO of people that actually write on these different protocols. And I feel like right now in the space, especially after the recent events with FTX, we're in a position where education is key, security is key, learning how to actually hold your own keys, hold your coins non-custodially. That's what is the key thing here. So obviously we've got lots of different things working in crypto when it comes to stuff like, the BSC as well as Ethereum mainnet. We've got a bunch of other EVM compatible chains that are, pretty much we're at the .com era of crypto, but with so much more utility and potential behind it that I think we're just moving up. And that's why stuff like integrating play to earn games like Compound Meta has done, different aspects of blockchain technology and Web3 coming into one, I think is a super innovative and exciting space to be in. But the most important thing is security and education, because as soon as somebody gets, scammed or any loses their private key, loses their seed phrase, whatever it may be, it can really discourage them from, moving forward. And that's what we need for mass adoption. That's what we need for cryptocurrency and blockchain technology to kind of push everything forward. We need mass adoption, and that's not going to happen if people aren't educated. So educated on how to be as secure as possible. That's essentially my background and how I got into, or how long I've been in crypto. The way I got into it was the same way that I think a lot of people did. You get on the, you start hearing about it left, right, and center, and you think to yourself that you want to, jump on the train. But a lot of people get in and they stay on a centralized exchange for, the entirety of their crypto career. And when stuff like the FTX crash, as well as, Luna UST, the problem is that only the bad things get shown to the public eye. The good stuff only comes when, everybody and their mom is jumping into crypto. So stuff like Compound Meta and having an actual ecosystem that's going to support itself for longevity as well as sustainability is something that will get gamers into crypto or gamblers into crypto when it comes to the flip to earn process, or art collectors when it comes to the NFTs. So the idea is to get as many eyeballs on a project that are interested in crypto, as well as eyeballs that maybe are not necessarily interested or are looking for some reason to make the step into the space.
Cool, man. Yeah, thanks for the rundown. Sounds like you've got a ton of experience in the space, and yeah, you're right. I think there's a few key things that need to happen in this space, and again, it's like you said, education will lead to adoption, but it'd be good if people stop scamming one another in this space as well. That might speed up adoption because when people get scammed, there's lots of fear and FUD, and then it sort of sets crypto back a little bit. So it's we can also thank the big boys from FTX and all of those things for setting us back a little bit. But yeah, it is what it is. Education will lead to adoption, and it's just going to be a slow burn for that point.
Yeah, I mean I try and see a silver lining in terrible events. So the FTX thing, the UST thing, both those created a good buying opportunity. Unfortunately, I got wrecked on UST, so I didn't really have too much liquid to actually buy during the buying opportunity. But bear markets are for building. That is what the team has done. They've built, for anyone who hasn't seen the website or played the demo, the downloadable version of the game off of the website, please do yourself a favor, go check it out. It's absolutely amazing. AAA game made in Unreal Engine 5. So, during the bear market, all you can really do is accumulate, if you believe, obviously, accumulate as well as build. And the team has focused really hard on getting a very, very good product to the table so that we basically can push this to the next level. The BSC has had its ups and downs. Binance is definitely going through something right now. There's a lot of Binance FUD out there that if you believe in crypto and if you believe in Binance as a company, as well as BNB and the BSC as a blockchain, then, compound meta is a good opportunity to get in on something on the ground floor. You see a lot of play to earn games out there that are, for lack of a better word, you know what, I'll watch my mouth here, but garbage, absolutely horrible. And they are a play to earn game, don't get me wrong, but we were playing Snake on BlackBerry phones a decade ago. We've made leaps and bounds since then, and just because we're in the Web3 crypto space doesn't mean that we need to be building games that have graphics from 2008.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. I guess yeah, the points that you raise are entirely valid. But yeah, I guess let's see how that all relates a little bit more through the compound meta ecosystem and the project that you've been developing for quite a while. So yeah, feel free to take us through it, take us through parts of the roadmap, things that you've developed, and yeah, we'll learn more about it as we go.
Absolutely. So I guess I'll go through everything and stop me if you have any questions. Because there's a lot to speak about, and I know we want to get to the community as well, or community questions as well. So I'd like to focus on some primary points. First one is the game that I mentioned. It's like I said before, a AAA game made in Unreal Engine 5 by a team of incredibly talented developers. I am not the biggest gamer. I never have been. I want to be, but I've always found it hard to get hooked on something, and that is still, it's just how my brain works. That being said, I've shown this game to people, and the response from gamers is very, very positive. So if you are a gamer, you might have a better opinion as to how the gameplay is than I will, the user experience and everything like that. But based on all the data that I've gotten back from people that I've shared this with, it's very, very good, and especially to the people that I've shared this with that are in the crypto space. So the game is going to have play to earn features, and there's also going to be a PvP fee that the ecosystem is going to basically sustain itself through. There's multiple different revenue streams for compound meta, so it's not just a one-off thing. It's not just a token tax or something like that, because we've seen 100, maybe 1,000, 5,000, whatever different tokens that say that that's the revenue stream. But at the end of the day, if you're only taking taxes from transactions, that's just a Ponzi. Like I really hope that people have educated themselves to the point now that they realize that if a token is trying to sustain itself on new people's money coming in through transactions or original investors' money going out, that's not going to last very long. So there's multiple different revenue streams when it comes to compound meta. There's a flip to earn feature. It's basically a 50-50, but the BSC is full of gamblers. That's what we do. That's the name of the game in terms of investing in stuff that we don't really know 100% what the return will be, if any at all. So gambling and taking risky decisions on the BSC is something that, if you're in this voice chat right now, I imagine everybody is accustomed to. Maybe some are more risk averse than others, but it is a big part of the blockchain that is the BSC. Now, whether you like to do it or not, you shouldn't be how you look at this. How you should look at this is that there's a space of, over 1 million users that do like to do it. And when it's a 50-50 shot, which is provably fair, by the way, that means that we can prove that it's generated through randomization. It's not like, hey, this guy just bet that much, so we're going to say, you lose. No, it's an actual generation that is going to 50% of the time be one way, 50% of the time be the other. So you basically flip. You can choose how much BNB or COMA you want to use. COMA is the token, by the way, the native token to the ecosystem of compoundmeta. And when that happens, if the user loses, that goes right back into the ecosystem, which is going to fund the actual staking rewards. There's multiple different ways that it's going to sustain price action moving forward for all the people who have invested in the project for other reasons, whether it be the outside of the flip to earn. So that's one of the revenue streams. The PVP is going to be one of the revenue streams. And then there is also what I just spoke about, where there are going to be taxes on the sell transactions, which is only 2%, but it goes back into the ecosystem as well. So outside of the game and the flip to earn, there's going to be a staking protocol. Which has been audited, by the way, in order to get the Seifu badge, which we can touch on later. Your staking contract as well as your token contract need to be audited. And we decided to go with 2 different auditing firms. The reason for that is we thought it might be a conflict of interest to have one person make the contract as well as audit it, which is something that I see a lot of people doing these days. And for me, that is, like I just said, a conflict of interest. That's like me making a car and then telling you how fast it can go. You want a third party to tell you how fast the vehicle is, not the person who made the vehicle who's trying to sell it to you, if that makes any sense.
Yeah, that's right. That makes a lot of sense. And I do like the fact that you've done that, because often in times where we do our own work and then we try to audit our own work, regardless of the job that you do, sometimes we make mistakes and things slide. So it's always good to get it from another party.
For sure. And I mean, that comes down to pretty much anything in life. If, for instance, making, just off the top of my head, for an example, making a website. I remember I used to make websites for people and I would spend hours and hours looking at it. And then at the end of it, I'd be super happy with it. But when I deliver it to the client, they would go, oh no. And you realize that you needed a second set of eyeballs because some of the things that they saw were very obvious. You just miss it when it's your own work and you spent time on it. So if somebody developed your smart contract and then they go to audit it themselves, they're just going to assume that, hey, I just made this, so audit passed. They don't actually look into the details the same way that somebody who's looking into something, trying to find errors would. And that's why going with a third-party auditor for the staking contract is essential in my eyes and the team's eyes. That's why we did it. On top of that, we've got the COMA swap, which is going to be a DEX, and there's going to be transaction fees on that. Very minimal, but at the same time, they add up, right? Over time, it will add up and it goes back into the ecosystem, right? This goes back to what I was speaking about before in terms of sustainability and longevity. This isn't something that wants to, launch and then slowly die out. This is something that needs to sustain itself moving forward with a fully functional game and all these other utilities that come with it. So the COMA swap is going to be a decentralized exchange that's going to take a transaction fee from, from all the transactions done on it and then put it back into the ecosystem itself. And then finally, in terms of utility, there's the COMA wallet. And the COMA wallet is going to be, a safe and secure wallet for people who want to keep their tokens the same way that MetaMask would, or the same way that any of these other options are. You should always, again, when I'm talking about security and education, use a cold wallet, a Trezor, a Ledger, or a SafePal, EliPal, whatever it is. If you want maximum security, if you keep large amounts of money, if you are your own bank, you want that air gap. You want that sense of security that, I remember before I had one, I'd open up my MetaMask and every time I'm holding my breath, I'm going,
God. I know exactly what you mean.
So, and I still do it even with my Trezor, right? I actually still do it. But when I think about it logically and I'm lying in bed at night staring at the ceiling, I can say to myself, no, it's never been online. Seed phrase has never been online. Private keys have never been online. So I feel safe. But, in the back of my mind, there's always that thought. But that being said, safety and security, again, is a huge focus when it comes to hosting a decentralized wallet. And that's what COMA has focused on. So all those things are going to generate revenue and come back into the ecosystem itself so that we can continue to develop, so that we can continue to market, so that we can continue to pay out staking rewards. yeah, there's a lot of different stuff. And if we want to maybe, do you have any questions about anything that I just brought up?
I was going to ask you some questions about the game, but I
Sure.
guess if you've got sort of like an agenda on
No,
the way that you'd
absolutely.
like to deliver
No,
them,
no,
go
no.
for
I'm following your kind of following your list, but I actually, as I just read it, I
it.
realized I've jumped around like from first to 9 to 8 to whatever. So please feel
No,
free.
that's all good. That's just a sort of a rough agenda. But I guess going back to the game, because I think you know you mentioned Unreal Engine 5, and we haven't had many projects on PinkSale deliver a game with that level of you know AAA graphics and stuff. But just wanted to get an idea of whereabouts in the production the game is in terms of timeline. So is it something that's, you know, just started out? Is it something that's upon completion? Just yeah, and also if you've got anybody else in the chat, feel free to drop some promos of the game in the PinkSale chat so that way we can see what it looks like.
Sure thing. So yeah, if anybody from the team wants to drop that in there, my screen is a little bit jambled right now with all the information that I have in front of me for this AMA. So I can do that after the AMA for sure. But as of right now, I'm not going to waste any time trying to find that because we are on a time frame. This is 1 hour, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yeah. Sometimes they're half hour and I realize 20 minutes in, like, so anyways, in terms of the actual release of the game, that's in phase 3 of the roadmap. We've completed everything in phase 1. A lot of the testing for the utilities has been done, and basically staking, the staking pools, the coin flip, the flip to earn, those will be released upon completion of the PinkSale Fair launch. So those are ready to go. However, the actual there is a downloadable, playable version of the game right now. There's some requirements that you need to have. So in terms of minimum requirements, Intel Core i5-8400 or an AMD Ryzen 5 2600 in terms of CPU. In terms of GPU, you got GeForce GTX 1060. I'll try and actually do this in layman's in case we don't have too many gamers in here. 12 gigs of RAM. Operating system 64-bit Windows 10, and then in terms of free storage, you want 2 gigabytes available space. That is the minimum. So for anybody who's interested, they can go in, they can actually download. If you're on Windows, you can actually download the game and play it. That's the best way to get an idea of how a game built in Unreal Engine 5 actually is. But in terms of actual play to earn release, we're looking at that in phase 3. So when we look at our roadmap right now, and sorry to jump around on the agenda a little bit,
not a problem.
We've got obviously pre-launch marketing, which is what we're doing right now. I'll go more into marketing later in terms of specifics, because I know for a lot of people that's a very important topic. Obviously deploying the token. We've got CMC and CG coming up, and we may or may not have fast tracked. I'm not going to say that out loud because I know some people get a little bit upset. Maybe I think everybody knows what I'm alluding to there. PinkSale pre-sale. So we got the fair launch, which I'll touch more on in a minute here, and then actually deploying to PancakeSwap. And then we've got the DEX release, the release of the staking pool, and the release of the coin flip. So those utilities will be, I know for certain the staking pools are going live as soon as that liquidity is injected on PancakeSwap. The other two have a tentative release date of the exact same time, but just making sure that I don't say something and then shoot myself in the foot. You know, I'd rather under promise and over deliver rather than the other way around. Those utilities will come in very shortly. And then when we move on to phase 3, when it's actually in terms of the roadmap, the primary focus, as well as right now, obviously, is getting that game to a point where it's ready to go and people are ready to play to earn. There's going to be lots of different things that come with it. So right now, we just really wanted to make sure that we weren't, you know, making empty promises when it comes to, hey, we have a game. You see a lot of projects do that, and they kind of rely on revenue generated from the token itself to then build the game later. It's not how it's never a good idea to do that, to promise something that you don't have. So in terms of the demo, that can show you that there's a literal product in front of your eyes that you can use and you can play. And then the play to earn and the Web3 aspect with NFTs and everything along that comes, like integrating all that comes later. But the foundation is there in terms of a playable demo.
Awesome, man. Yeah, really good to see. And yeah, I guess how many people do you have on the team that are working? Sorry to sort of ask you more questions related to the game, but yeah, I just wanted to know how many people you've got on the game development side, in terms
Yeah,
of,
great question.
all
I
the
mean,
designers and things?
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. So in terms of a core team there, you've got 5 people working on it, but there's lots of things that need to be outsourced, not outsourced, but rather than put the weight of all that work on the shoulders of like a small team, like the core team is, there's things that we can get third parties to complete and then send back to us, and we can tweak the way that the team wants to tweak them. So in terms of the actual team, which is something that maybe I'll touch on as well outside of the game, you've got myself, who is the voice representative of the project. We've got lots of community moderators. In terms of developers, we've got partnerships that with the auditing firm, the smart contract creation, and then the Web3 side of things. And then in terms of actual game development, like I mentioned before, there's 5 people that are working on it between design, UI, UX, everything that comes along with building a AAA game.
Nice. All right. Sweet. Well, look, if you've got anything else that you wanted to mention about the project, feel free. But you did mention that you wanted to talk a little bit about the fair launch on PinkSale. So I guess if you've got anything else, then feel free to go for it. Otherwise, we can get stuck into talking about the fair launch.
Sure, there is actually something, because we have a little bit of an innovative tokenomics structure, and I don't want to say this in a way that makes it sound, how do I say this? Basically, there's a negative tax feature that we've built. This has come through trying to find something that would innovate the BSC again. I don't know if people remember, but about 2 years ago was when SafeMoon, Fox Finance, Bonfire, if you've been around the space for a long time, you remember when these tokens, it was kind of at the height of the bull market a few years back, and they were absolutely crushing it. And the reason was because there was an innovative new line of code, essentially, that came into these smart contracts that allowed for redistribution without spending gas. So that absolutely blew up. SafeMoon had, if I'm not mistaken, was 10%, buy tax, sell tax. And I think 5% went back to all the holders. And if you got into SafeMoon early, at the peak of SafeMoon, that 5% that you were getting redistributed back to you, you were making thousands of dollars if you had to put $100 in, because it mooned so hard. I mean, that was
the volume was so big on SafeMoon and
absolutely incredible, right? And that one little innovative line of code that came into that smart contract sparked an absolute bonfire, I guess you could say, of tokens that came out with the same idea. And with this negative tax tokenomic structure that we have, essentially, for this example, let's say you buy $100 worth of COMA, you'll get taxed 1% on that buy, and that 1% will get swapped to BUSD and put in a pool that can be used for a bunch of things within the ecosystem. But at the same time, you will get airdropped 1.5% of the $100 worth of COMA that you got back to you. So essentially, you lose 1%. So now you're at 99% of what you bought in terms of COMA tokens, and then you're airdrop 1.5. So you're actually 100.5% of what you get. So you're actually, that tax is actually coming back in the way of an airdrop on every single buy transaction that you create. I should mention that won't happen for the fair launch contributors, but it will happen for every single contributor after the liquidity has been injected into PancakeSwap. So, with the benefit of a fair launch is you're getting the absolute best price at the time of liquidity injection. But there's also a benefit for people who contribute after the fact, right? There's people that you're going to be getting that negative tax that plays into it. Some people look at that as, unsustainable. Other people look at it as an innovative creation in the space. It's ultimately up to you to decide. I'm nobody's financial advisor. I'm that's not the business that I'm in. But when these new things and these innovative things and these little tricks in code come about, it can be an opportunity. Again, like I mentioned with SafeMoon, there's a lot of people that were talking smack on SafeMoon in the beginning, and ultimately at the end of the day, that is, SafeMoon didn't really do too much in terms of utility. What it did do, though, is kickstart an absolutely amazing financial run for anybody who got in early. That goes for a lot of other projects after the fact, and that's what we're trying to do here with the negative tax creation. that, Compound Meta has essentially made.
Yeah, definitely. Look, it doesn't take much to to start a trend in this crypto space. Everybody is always looking for the latest and greatest trends, and if you implement something and it does very well, I can bet the money that I have in my wallet that there'll be copycats coming straight after you, literally within the same week. So yeah, I'm definitely keen to see how this goes, and yeah, I'll keep my eyes peeled on PinkSale for the trends that follow.
Sure. I mean, ultimately, you need to find the sweet balance, the balancing point between that innovative side as well as the utility side. If you only have the innovative thing, it's only going to last as long as that lasts. I mean, if I were to launch something called MoonSafe right now and say, hey guys, we got redistribution, 10% tax in, 10% tax out, nobody's going to buy it. It's been there, it's done that. But if you don't have any utility on the other side of that, then it's dead in the water. If you have utility and you have that little innovation that we're speaking about in terms of the tokenomics, and you find that balance point, it can be the catalyst that really pushes something into the future. And that goes as well, like you mentioned just a second ago, excuse me, copycats. Of course, copycats means you're doing something right. But the beautiful thing about what we've got here is the utilities that we have in terms of that demo game that's ready to go right now. You go play that. I'm telling you right now, there's nothing else out there in terms of a Web3 BSC game out there that is anything close to it. So even if the copycats come, there's no way you can build a game like this overnight or in the same time that you can deploy a smart contract that's going to have the same tokenomic structure. So luckily we have the utility behind it as well as the innovation to try and really, like I said before, be the catalyst that can make a project really blow up. While we're on that topic, I should speak about marketing because part of this tokenomic structure does come back in so that we are able to fund marketing for the long term. Mm-hmm. It's not one of those things we want to do pre-launch and then just kind of forget about. Obviously, with a game like this, if you do that, then you're kind of just watching something that you built, something beautiful that you created, just remain stagnant. You need to get it in front of eyeballs. It doesn't matter if you have the best product in the world. If you're not showing it to the world, nobody's going to come to it. You can't expect people to find it on their own. So, like I said, there's some good stuff with CMC and CG. We're contacting, or we've made partnerships with some of the biggest AMA groups in the space. You guys, for one, I'm seeing right now, we've got 124 people in here listening to us speak, which is absolutely amazing. Caesar's calls, Binance Live, Hulk's Gems, CryptoCat calls, big call channels that I'm going to be speaking on behalf of the project to, in an attempt to just get this to as many people as possible. Again, even if you're not a gamer, if you can see the game and understand that the quality behind it, then that is something that is worth investing in itself. Like I mentioned before, I'm not a gamer. However, if you gave me the opportunity to invest in Halo when it was 6 dudes working out of an office space or somebody's parents' basement, hell yeah, I would, right? So it doesn't matter if you're into it or if you're not, but if you can recognize the amazing quality and effort and time that has gone into it, then yeah, it's a good opportunity to get into something if you believe in it, right? We've got lots of callers as well. So not just AMAs, but a lot of these groups that will just basically let everybody know, hey, this is going live right now. This is what we've got, or this is what they've got. Have a look. Again, the utilities and the product, it actually speaks for itself. So all the call groups need to do is just get the word out to their community. Lots of press releases on financial websites, CoinSniper, CoinHunt, Yahoo Finance, stuff like that. Lots of Telegram and Twitter, as well as YouTube influencers that are going to be promoting Compound Meta. And we're looking for top centralized exchange listings. Obviously, right out of the gate, and right now with the place we're at in terms of centralized exchanges, it's a topic of debate. But at the end of the day, there's people, like I mentioned before, that never make the jump to fully decentralization in terms of, MetaMask, in terms of Trust Wallet, whatever wallet you're using. A lot of people focus primarily on centralized exchanges. And some of the big ones are geo-restricted. You've got, FTX had FTX.us, Binance has Binance.us, and the limits are different. So it might push somebody to a second tier exchange. And that's what we're looking for right here. Something like KuCoin or MEXC, one of these ones that isn't geo-restricted, still has a great amount of volume and would be a benefit to the project. At the end of the day, if it's not beneficial to the project, then we wouldn't list on the centralized exchange. It has to be beneficial for the project and the people who have invested in it on the decentralized side of things before we move it to a centralized side of things, because it can ultimately be detrimental to the project if it's not done strategically. In terms of, for those that don't know, if you want to list on a centralized exchange, you have to give them tokens. And if the centralized exchange isn't, let's say, reputable, they can do what they want with them. And sometimes what that is just dump the entire bag on the market, which is horrible for everybody on the decentralized side of things. So somebody that's reputable, somebody that's very accessible is what we're looking for when it comes to the centralized exchange listings. So that's, what we have right now in terms of marketing. And as the fair launch goes, which I'll move into next to speak about, then we can, it will determine a little bit more about marketing budget, everything that we want to do moving forward when it comes to actually marketing it post-launch. So to move on from all of that, I'll just get this open for myself. The PinkSale page here. Right. Yeah. Awesome. Any questions from you, Shauna?
No, nothing from me. Keen to hear a little bit about the fair launch, and then we'll get some questions from the audience.
Awesome, man. Great. So for those of you that don't know what the SAFU badge is, I imagine because this is a PinkSale AMA, a lot of people do understand what that is. But if you're looking for investor security, this is essentially the best thing that you can do if you're launching on PinkSale. It's a badge that you can get by meeting a series of prerequisite basically things you have to do for the token. One of which being the contract itself, excuse me, needs to be developed by a PinkSale certified developer. So that comes with some, like, how can I say this? The team themselves didn't actually develop the smart contract because that way, this way to obtain the SAFU badge, PinkSale kind of assumes liability if anything were to happen. And the way that they make sure that nothing does happen is by having a team of developers that have partnered with PinkSale that will make these contracts. So that contract has been made by a PinkSale partnered developer. On top of that, the control of that smart contract needs to remain in the hands of that developer for a minimum of 14 days. You need to have an audit. And if you have staking on your project, you need to actually have that staking contract audited as well. A lot of people, what they do is they get their token contract audited. They have a staking contract, and people assume that the token audit covers the staking contract as well. That's not the case. They're two completely separate things. And if you're getting one audited, realistically, you should get the other one audited for investor security. Because if you put those tokens into a staking contract that has malicious code in it and it hasn't been audited, then you're just, there's potential for an exploit there. So both the contracts have been audited. Like I mentioned before, a third party that didn't create that staking contract actually audited the staking contract due to the conflict of interest that would come by having the same developer audit the contract.
Their own work, yeah.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like it seems obvious, but a lot of the time people don't think about that stuff, right? And they see the badge and they think, okay, yeah, but luckily PinkSale did think about that, having that staking contract audited. And then KYCing. You have to KYC with PinkSale, which obviously means it's know your customer, which basically comes to you have to give identification and have a video call with PinkSale. And in order for, and then in the event of anything happening from the team side of things, there's legal accountability to the person who KYC'd with that. So when the team KYCs with that, they're taking legal accountability if anything were to happen. But given the steps that we've taken prerequisitely, it's ensuring that, pending, basically the only thing you have to worry about in this is price action and market conditions. If something happens to Binance and BNB goes down, well, I mean, come on, that's BNB. That's what it's paired with in the liquidity pool. There's nothing you can do about that. And it doesn't fall back on PinkSale. It doesn't fall back on the team. What it falls back on is the market. And if that happens, that's just the way that the cookie crumbles there. But so for the SafeFood badge, the audit, and the KYC, it essentially covers and makes the investor side of things as safe as possible. Going into the details of the actual fair launch itself, it's got a soft cap of 50 BNB. For those of you that aren't familiar with the fair launch, essentially it has to hit that. Then from that point onward, it will just change the amount that each contributor gets based on how much BNB it is, how much COMA is per BNB. The more people that get into the fair launch, the lower amount of COMA it'll be, but that's the point of a fair launch, is that everybody's getting the fair opportunity to get in based on how many people contribute.
Exactly.
It starts oh yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No. I was just going to ask you a quick question about the amount that you would like to see raised. I know you've got a small soft cap of 50 BNB, but judging by the quality of the project, I do see you guys surpassing that pretty quickly. But what amount would you guys be happy with to raise?
Well, I mean, the soft cap is, in the team's point of view, is the bare minimum goal. And that's what it should be. People shouldn't make the soft cap super low. Like I've seen some that are 1 BNB and then they raise 20 or whatever. And oh, great, whatever. But at the end of the day, if the project doesn't raise what we think the bare minimum is, then we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to go back and figure out why it didn't hit what we thought the bare minimum was, and then try again. That's why 50 BNB is where we set it at. In terms of where we want it to be, again, this is always a topic of debate when it comes to these fair launches. If you raise, let's say 1,000 BNB comes into this, then you're starting to ask yourself how much buy pressure is going to happen upon PancakeSwap listing. So there is another sweet spot there when it comes to how much you want, but it's not as cut and dry as, oh, the more the merrier. For the investors' sake, for the team's sake, for everybody who wants to, start seeing that negative tax tokenomics structure in action, we want to have buy pressure on launch. The good thing about a fair launch is that everybody gets the same amount. And then if there are, which, there always is, volatile market action. So some people like to watch these fair launches and then wait for a dip. With a project that has the utility behind it that we have, we do imagine that there's going to be a lot of eyeballs on it and wait for a little bit more stability in the token price before they come in. But in terms of what we would like to see, anything over that soft cap is good. In the 250 to 300 range is great. And then the more that we get, there does come that point where people start to think, okay, what's this going to do for buy pressure? But at the end of the day, like I've said, a couple times in this AMA, the utility speaks for itself. So again, I don't like to invest in things based on how I think the hype will go. I like to invest in things based on how I think the product will perform. And when it comes to the game, the utilities that we have, the tokenomic structure, and ultimately at the end of the day, the community and the team, I do think that this is going to do, very well pending the market conditions, right? Again, we see a pump today on Ethereum, BNB, Avalanche. We see this happening. We don't know if that is a bull trap. We don't know if we're capitulating back down to, $100 BNB. Only time will tell. But if we do kind of catch this on a market pump, it's great for everybody. If we can perform well in a bear market, it's good for the project. So yeah, I hope that answers the question. I don't have an exact number. Again, I think everybody's a little bit different. Some people would like to see it, oh my God, 1,500 BNB. Other people would like to say, okay, 300 BNB and we have buy pressure. Some people might even in the back of their head be thinking, please only hit 50, because that means there's going to be way more buy pressure when this gets out to the masses.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Well, look, let's get some questions up from the audience, only because we're starting to run out of time.
Sure, absolutely.
There's so many people with their hands up. Guys, I ask you next time, please don't raise your hands until it's actually time for questions. We'll get started. Jamal, you can kick it off, buddy.
Hey, Jamal, how you doing, man?
Yeah, I'm fine. And you?
Good. Good.
Yeah, all right, thanks, Shannon. Yeah,
Nice.
yeah. Basically, I've been listening for a while, and you guys have a lot of preparation on ground. But my concern is about, looking at the current state of the market we have now in space. Believe that everything is just down, and for you to be able to strive well, to be able to succeed, you have all other options as apart to make sure that this project is definitely will give you the result you actually clamor for. Because there's a project last year that it was supposed to launch, but they have to be moved, keep on giving date because of the current state of the market. So I just want to know, what are your plans towards this market? Okay, for example, if you launch and you encounter some difficulties, probably unable to push it, how do you intend to come in aside all these calls and channels you've mentioned earlier?
Okay, wait. I had a tough time hearing because of your audio. Is the question, if the market turns around, are we still planning to do the marketing that we have planned?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
For sure.
looking at the current state of market.
For sure. Yeah, great question. I mean, that's the thing, right? We never really know. When it comes to the market, anything can happen. But again, like you just mentioned about that project, I don't know which one you're referring to, but constantly postponing and trying to time the market and this and that. If you do that, you could do that forever, right? You could literally right now push it back because you say, hey, the market's not good enough. We get a ridiculous pump. And then you could say, you know what? I think that we're going to go back down. We're going to wait for us to go back down. And you can go back and forth over and over and over and over. That's why I said that the bear market is for building. And when you get yourself to a point that you have a product that is good enough in the team's eyes, which we believe we have, then it doesn't matter the market condition. I mean, obviously it will still have an effect on it, but at the end of the day, the product itself, the product speaks for itself. So obviously there's a point that if capitulation happens and everything crashes and it's absolutely horrible market conditions, then yeah, there's an issue there that no project can dig themselves out of. If Bitcoin and Ethereum and BNB are not able to dig themselves out of the market hole, how can any of the projects built on those blockchains or built on Ethereum, anything EVM compatible, can't really build on Bitcoin just yet, but how can those projects succeed? So the answer to your question though about the marketing is yes, the marketing partnerships and everything have been lined up and paid. So regardless of whether or not the market tanks, those AMAs will happen, the marketing will happen, and hopefully the project itself can basically persevere through relatively bad market conditions. There's been worse times where projects have launched and been successful, and those projects, in my eyes, did not have a product as good as what compoundmeta has. So at the end of the day, the answer to your question is yeah, when pending,
All right, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. Any market condition, it's going forward.
Thanks, Jamal. All right, we'll get next person, Ashley, if you want to go up next, mate.
Hi, Shano.
Hey, buddy.
All right, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Thanks.
My question is concerning the competition, which will be held weekly and monthly basics that you said about your game. Now, the competition is also free, right?
In terms of
free?
Yeah. In terms of the play to earn game, yeah.
No,
so there's
now,
different. Oh, sorry.
Okay, so will there be like a specific number of people that are going to be allowed to play the game that is for the competition?
Okay, so basically, sorry. Okay, finish your question and then I'll answer it. So if you have more than one question, just please ask.
It's still under this the competition as well, because I just want to understand it better. Like you said, the competition is free, so I kept thinking about it. That will there be a number of people that are allowed now that will be allowed to play the game? That's when you're hosting for the competition. And will holders have the opportunity to host tournaments by themselves, like a group of holders was coming together to they put some kind of money down and they'll play against themselves, and the winner takes all,
I
something like that?
understand. I understand. So essentially, in order to participate in these competitions, you need to have one of the compound meta NFTs. So that will be your ticket into play. And then there will be rewards that are based on in there. But when it comes to how many people can play in that competition, you will basically just need that NFT pass to essentially play in the competition. Now, if the NFT collection sells out, then that will be how many people are eligible to play in the competition. And I should mention that if if you contribute one BNB to the fair launch, you'll get that NFT to as essentially like a fair launch incentive. So any contributor in the actual fair launch themselves that puts in one BNB will get that NFT that they can play. And then when it comes to the actual game competition, as many people that have the NFTs that want to join the competition and play for their chance to win, that's how many people will be. But there's no, I guess the question is there a cap? And the cap would be the total amount of NFTs that have been sold. So if you want to play the game, you're going to have to, if you want to compete in the competition, you're going to have that NFT.
Okay, I get that point. So, but can holders actually host tournaments by themselves, or it's not possible?
Sorry, what was the question? Who does host
Can
what?
the holders host? Can the holders host their own competitions?
Oh, I see. Like make their own individual like PvP game.
Yes, something like that.
I see. I understand. To the best of my knowledge, like I said, on the game side of things, it's not my wheelhouse, but I know that there is a PvP game feature coming into the actual user experience. So to the best of my knowledge, yeah, people are going to be able to play against each other. In terms of how many people can actually create that room, I will have to contact the team there and figure out exactly what that number is. I'm in a chat right now, and I think I'm going to get that answer for you. So if you want to just give me 2 minutes, we can move on to the next question. And then as soon as I get that answer, I'll let you know, Ashley.
Okay. Thank you. Thanks for the opportunity, Sean.
Thanks, Ash. Dimas, if you'd like to go next.
Okay, Siana, thank you for letting me asking some question regarding the COMA token. It's pretty interesting that the point that I want to ask and also catching my attention is about the buy tax, which also a negative tax. Is it that right? Please correct me if I'm wrong. I just want to ask regarding the reward. I just want to get some clearance. Will it be like if we buy the token of the COMA, we're getting the token? Will we be getting the token only, or we also getting the USD? Since when I'm surfing on your website, when also hearing your explanation on your presentation, I see that on the buy to earn rewarding, the people that buy the COMA will also earn the USD token for the long term. Is it like buy 2-in-1 reward, or what kind of reward is that?
Absolutely. You're right. Yeah, on that buy tax, that BUSD reward, that 1% does get redistributed back to the holders, similar to the redistribution tokenomics that I was touching on earlier. So you do get that redistribution in BUSD to your wallet, as well as that 1.5% airdrop. Now, I need to clarify that you only get the 1.5% COMA airdrop on your buy. So it's not every buy that comes in, you get more COMA. Every buy that comes in, you get more BUSD. And then on your individual buy, you get 1.5% sent back to it. So taxed 1% in BUSD. So that gets swapped to BUSD, and that gets redistributed to everybody. And then 1.5% COMA tokens actually airdrops back to your wallet directly, not everyone's wallet.
Oh, I see. So it's a very different thing. I thought it's with like it will be distributing to every or other holder for the COMA if we buy, and they're also getting the COMAs like similar and other tokens?
No, so you will get everybody will share that 1% BUSD, and then you will be the only one receiving that 1.5% airdrop of COMA tokens coming back in.
In every buy, right?
The BUSD is every buy. The COMA token itself, the 1.5% airdrop is on your buy. So if you buy once, you'll get that 1.5% one time. If you buy 10 times, you'll get that 1.5% 10 times. But if somebody else buys, you won't get the COMA, but you will get the 1% BUSD distributed proportionately across everyone's wallet, depending on how much COMA that wallet holds.
Okay, thank you for your explanation.
No worries. And to touch on that question earlier, I just got confirmation. We can have 1v1, 2v2, 3v3, and 5v5. So 5 players, the minimum 1 versus 1, 2 versus 2, 3 versus 2, or sorry, 3 versus 3, and 5 versus 5 in terms of players being able to create their own rooms and play. So that was for you, Ashley. You want to do one more, Shano? Did I lose you, Shano?
Oh, God, sorry. For some reason, yeah, my Telegram bugged out. Yeah, we'll get 2 more questions. Yeah, Greek, you can go up next, and then we'll get Sainty.
All right. Thank you very much, Shano. Hi, Confidence. How you doing?
Good. How are you, Greek?
Yeah, I'm very well. Very quickly to my question. I was looking through the requirements for the game, and the CPU requirements, the GPU requirements is totally off the charts, and the processors required to play the game is just super expensive. Personally, for me, my PC cannot play the game, so I would probably have to build a custom PC to this requirements if I would want to play the game. So has the team actually thought about how this would be limiting to new entrants getting into the game? I think for the minimum requirement, the cheapest of all of the chipsets, I think is about $350, $500 just for the chipset, not even the entire CPU setup, just the chipset costs about $500 to acquire. So wouldn't this be an issue for the team when the game does go live?
Well, are you looking at minimum or are you looking at recommended?
I'm actually looking at minimum. The recommended is just, let's not just talk about the recommended, let's talk about the minimum.
Okay, sure. I understand that there is a barrier to entry when it comes to those minimum requirements. However, I mean, your standard PC these days is going to run you with these requirements is going to run you, any gamer, for instance, is going to have the minimum requirements in there. In terms of making it more playable, you kind of have for lesser quality, GPUs and CPUs, you kind of have a give and take here, because in terms of the quality of the game and the graphics of the game and the actual gameplay and user experience, to have that be at such a high level requires high quality hardware to play. When it comes to trying to lower those things, again, I don't necessarily know. The minimum requirements are there for a reason. It's so that people don't play the game and have a bad user experience, so that they then don't play it again, right? There's nothing worse than, I remember playing, Counter-Strike back in the day and having only, 12 FPS, and then I just didn't even want to play. Maybe that's what put me off.
The good old days.
Yeah, the good old days, exactly, right? But with that being said, as we move forward, these parts get cheaper, I guess, is one option. The other one is for gamers. They've got this for the most part. They've got this equipment in there for anybody who is a gamer, and for anybody who wants to, play it that it doesn't have that PC. I guess the only thing I can say is we can hopefully create a less crisp version when it comes to the graphics and requirements that would allow for, maybe some GPUs and CPUs and less than 12 gigs of RAM, that to still have that smooth user experience. The point though is that, you don't want to sacrifice game quality in exchange for, a lower GPU and a lower CPU. So I guess you're right about that in terms of the fact that we want to have this accessible to as many people as possible. But as of right now, for the demo version with the quality that it's at, those are the minimum requirements. Maybe when we move forward and release, updates and everything that come with it, that would be something that we would look into. But as of right now, unfortunately for, some people that don't have those minimum requirements, that is the minimum recommended requirement.
Yeah, I think I understand your response and your reply, and I think if you can pitch this to the team, they can have lower, just have, as you said, lower graphics quality, probably lower speed. They can make it editable to
you're absolutely right.
Just so it can cater for other lower GPUs, because I still feel the minimum the minimum is actually too high, and it might be a limit to most gamers. I think even with the minimum is actually like high end for most for actual gamers. So I feel if they can be a little bit flexible on graphics quality, maybe game speed or something, just to ensure everybody's carried along in this. Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you.
Sure. I think and I actually want to thank you, Greek, for bringing that to my attention. I'll definitely bring it to the team and see what I can, or what we can figure out there. So thank you as well, Greek.
Good stuff, Greek. All right, Sainty, you can be the last question, mate. Then we'll wrap it up.
Hey, Shano.
Hey,
so I was reading the negative tax about the negative tax, and it's kind of piggybacking on the idea of like bonus tokens. You guys have given it a twist, and I see that you have 2,290,000 tokens kind of kept for that specific purpose, and you will be unlocking it in about like a month or like on launch. I'm not I'm not sure about that, but I see the idea. But when you kind of give it from the supply and you're not regulating it from the sales, right? And the buyback, the sale tax is going towards rewards and buybacks and burns, right? So it will sort of like reach its dead end. So do you have a framework for when like the supply runs out? If you become super successful, because I've calculated like you need to do sort of 400 to 500 million buying volume in order for that to happen. But if that happens, like, do you have a framework for that, or do you cut off on rewards and stuff to like compensate for that?
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to appreciate your quick math there for doing that calculation. That's absolutely amazing. In terms of, again, it comes back down to sustainability. And one of the ways that we can remain solvent and sustain the ecosystem that is created there, even after the fact of that 400 to 500 million in total volume, even after that fact, revenue streams. So with the the game itself is before each match, the users they bet, and they'll get the winning team will get 95% of that, and 5% comes back to the team for the ecosystem to sustain that. Same goes for there's early withdrawal from the staking pools. Same goes for transaction fees from the DEX. Same goes for the flip to earn. There's a lot of different revenue streams that are going to come back into the actual ecosystem, and then as we reach that point of the actual tokens that we've allocated for the negative tax tokenomics, as we start to reach the end of that, we will be actually re-injecting within the ecosystem from these other revenue streams back into it to make sure that we are consistently solvent.
Okay. I think that the project does sound like it's really interesting. It can like, as you said that like it can uh, inspire many other projects that come later on. And of course, like you guys are spending a shit ton on marketing. So yeah, let's see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Santi. And again, amazing math, man.
Yeah, not bad.
We Indians
Not
are good
bad.
at maths.
All right, guys, we're going to wrap it up here. Just wanted to say a massive thanks to the community for coming out. We had a huge turnout here, and yeah, lots of good questions. And for those people that didn't get to ask their questions, please feel free to head to the Compound Meta Telegram and ask your questions there. But yeah, Coinfidence, yeah, pleasure chatting to you, mate. You did a really good job with the presentation and gave us lots of good information. And yeah, I'll let you wrap it up with some final words for everyone.
For sure. I just want to thank everybody for showing up today, and I want to thank PinkSale for letting us come in here and speak about the project. And then again, if anybody's got any questions, any concerns, suggestions, anything at all, feel free to join the Telegram, message the moderators, message myself. I'll be as responsive as possible, but my DMs are absolutely flooded. Even through this AMA, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 9 DMs just from now. I'll get back to them in the order that they were received, and I'll try my best to get back to everybody as that sends me a DM. But if I don't, then please just join the Telegram, find out information from there, contact the moderators, contact myself, or have a look at the website and the white paper. And if the information is not there, it's a very active community. So please feel free to reach out. And again, just want to thank everybody. So thank you, Shano, thank PinkSale, and thank your community.
Cheers, mate. Take care. Wish you all the best. See you guys. Have a great day.
All right. And just send me the recording when you can, mate.
Definitely will. Cheers.
All right. Cheers. Later.
Bye.